program that you have. There is a practice script. There are all these game plans in our lives around us. And so when we think about our financial decisions and the fact and managing our cash flow, we want to make sure that we have a budget or a personal financial game plan. One major thing that comes up in the NIL era slash the pro athlete life cycle is reverse earnings curve. Does anybody know what that reference is, what I'm referencing there? You would just come off mute and just throw it in the chat what that is a reference to, reverse earnings curve. Yes, maybe so. All right, so the reverse earnings curve is the income expectations for pro and collegiate athletes that participate in NIL, right? The normal trajectory of an individual is the blue line, right? You start out making a certain amount of money, and the amount of money doesn't matter, right? This isn't labeled by actual income in years, but it's a perspective of your income increases over the time you work, right? So your income increases, and then you'll peak, right? And then after you peak, it'll start to tail off. So this is what happens. The blue is what happens for a normal individual. But the red might be what happens to an individual that gets paid a lot of money through NIL, right? We've talked about different ways to commercialize your opportunities. You might be receiving income because of revenue share at a school, right? So if you're at a P4 school in a revenue generating sport, that income can be significant, right? It can be six figures, and that might be, more money than you're going to make as you start your career. And so they typically don't have jobs, or they have jobs that are just like fit to their schedules. That's why they typically start below the normal individual who can have more flexibility when it comes to work. But they might peak in college and then they come down. But what's happening is as more and more athletes get educated and become more entrepreneurial, you'll notice that this curve is going to change, right? Because they're networking, they're tapping into business resources, they're starting to have head starts as it relates to, hey, not only did I, play a sport, I came out of college with a skill set and develop relationships with brands, businesses, et cetera. And this curve is going to change, right? It's going to allow them to use what they learned, use what they developed, and become a little bit more competitive in the job market. So this is the traditional reverse earnings curve. And I think over time, we're seeing that the red line, the pro athlete or the collegiate athlete, their trajectory is changing, but it's because, they're tapping into the media market. They're becoming more entrepreneurial. They are becoming more self-aware of their financial situations. And as a result, we're seeing them make decisions that are going to benefit them. Does anybody have questions, thoughts, or feedback about this picture? Does anybody agree with it? Does anybody think it's inaccurate or... Just hop off me.
I just feel like more so now and recently, I'm probably wrong, but the fall off doesn't seem to be as drastic. I'm always reading stuff about how serious athletes are taking their money with advisors and stuff. I feel like it doesn't seem like, it's, at least in the news and social media, that the fall off is that drastic.
Yeah, no, I'd agree, Joe. And that's why I think that we're seeing there's progress, right? There's one, as a public figure, you are one trying to be more fiscally responsible. There's more, I don't want to say pressure, but there's more access, there's more opportunity for someone to quote unquote take advantage of you. But similarly, there's also the opportunity for you to work with people that are going to help put you in a position to succeed. So I would definitely agree that this is adjusting, and it's not as, that steep decline is not as representative of where we're seeing athletes transition. But what I will say is there is a very harsh reality that we do see when athletes want to go pro and they don't make it, right? Like if I want to go pro and I don't make it, then it's like they don't want to work for anyone. They don't necessarily, it really just lends itself to those that kind of merge their career and their kind of entrepreneurial explanation are able to tap into that unique blend of, hey, I took some time, I figured out what was next for me, I developed the conversations, relationships, and everything I've had over time, and I've been able to not have the steep fall off, I had to adjust. My income came down, but I was able to launch into my career, connect with the right financial professionals, start a business or buy a franchise, things of that nature. So I definitely agree. Any other feedback or thoughts about this? Right. So your personal financial game plan. So one thing we'll do, I won't do it now, but I'll provide some blank budgets for you all. I'm not gonna, again, not telling you what to do with your life, your money, your situation, but I just want to add perspective because it's something that we always work with athletes to do, but it's something that everyone needs to do, right? Individuals, administrators, students are not absent of being fiscally responsible and managing their cash flow. So what I want to show you here is a side-by-side budget of me and my younger brother, first jobs after college, right? It is very different incomes, right? This is 2015, right? For him, and it was 2012 for me, my first job after college. And I think I told most of you that I used to work at, it's called Future Standard now, but when I worked there, it was called at Franklin Square Capital Partners, and it was called FS Investments. It used to be at the Navy Yard. So I worked at the Sirius Center and then the Navy Yard, and now they're over in, I think, Yards, right next to the 30th Street Station. And it's a private debt and equity firm. And I was an internal sales consultant, and I had to get my Series 7, Series 63. And my first year, I made great money for, being my first year out of college. But what you recognize is no matter how much money you make, whether you're, working in finance or you're an NFL rookie, this is my brother's salary before his signing bonus. He got drafted in the 4th round. What you notice is we all have to make the same decisions. Like the decision-making process, these categories do not change, right? The major thing that does change is I didn't have to pay agent fees, right? He had that expense, but that is a byproduct of his career, right? But family expenses are things that come up. I was not contributing to family expenses. He was supporting my dad and some endeavors that he had because my brother had real estate. They're supporting him in addition to that. But you go down this line. He didn't have education expenses because he had a full ride. I went to Cornell. I paid $150 a month. That was my student loans. So what I want you to understand is, or one question I have for the group is, what do you notice as the highest expense category for both of us? And somebody come off mute or throw it in the chat. Anybody? You just throw it in the chat if you see something. I think I see some chat activity. Entertainment, rent, housing. You all are close. Taxes. There we go. April, Victoria. Yeah. So it's taxes, right? And I label it as a expense category because taxes are something we can't avoid, right? Taxes are something we all will be responsible for. And I just want to make sure that everyone knows, right? There's your tax bracket. There's where you live, right? Philadelphia has a flat tax rate. I want to say it's 3.1%, but there's places across the country that have no tax, state income tax. There's places that have high state income tax, California, right? There are different places around the country that you have different tax implications. But one thing to always keep in mind is if you have no state income tax, the government somehow recoups that money through maybe a sales tax or maybe a real estate tax, right? There's a way that they kind of pull different levers to effectively maximize their revenue and their ability to operate and manage the roads, manage all the different public works and things that they provide. So state income tax is obvious line item, but that makes the state more attractive because they're not taking it out of your money right away, right? They might hit you with fees when you go to shop. But then again, that's up to you as opposed to everybody has to earn a living, earn an income. But when it's directed through real estate or different avenues, it feels less of a government kind of pull or draw as opposed to you making personal decisions where you want to spend your tax dollars, if that makes sense. So anything else about this that jumps out at you all? This will be the last slide that I'll show before Sam gets here, but I have a couple more comments. But anything else that jumps out at you all? I'm just looking at the side by side. So one thing I'd highlight is my brother used to get made fun of, and I know it's gonna sound a little crazy, but he used to get made fun of for his vehicle, right? So if you look at it, 620 on a car payment, you know, making over $1 million in a year. He had a 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and people used to say that's not a league car, that's not an NFL car. But my brother, very simply, you know, he wasn't easily influenced or peer pressure to do things just because somebody said something. But again, part of his plan was to buy real estate in Philadelphia. So I highlight this because he lived like a 21-year-old. You see his rent being $750. He literally had a roommate, made over $1 million a year, but he had a roommate and he paid $750. Obviously, Cleveland's a cheap city, but I highlight this because he knew that he wanted to be very efficient, economical in the way he invested in his housing for the city of Cleveland, and he did that. He was there 6 months out of the year. He, the first year he stayed at my mother's house, and then he got an apartment for a year, and then he ended up buying an investment property in the house shortly thereafter. But the reason I highlight this is because this was a part of his plan. So it's not to say that you should be saving for real estate. It's not to say anything like that. But what I am trying to impress upon you, whether you all are athletes or individuals, like, no matter what your journey is, the plan allows you to make decisions confidently. We're never going to make the right decision. I've talked about that with Reek, but it gives you perspective on, hey, where's my money going? What am I doing? Things of that nature. So I just wanted to share you this because me and my brother, very similar situations, very similar upbringings, different situations first year after college, but we both had plans and we both were able to kind of execute on those game plans. Took me a little longer to acquire real estate and different things, but again, the plan allowed me to do that and navigate. And then the last thing I would highlight is the savings and investing down here at the bottom. Just being intentional about, you know, when you do have the ability to put some money to the side or invest, earmarking that is also important. Any questions, thoughts about these slides at this point?
Oh my God, no.
Demetrius, are you talking to us or you? Oh, no, I didn't. I said any questions and I saw you talking. I didn't know if that was a question.
No. Can you hear me?
Yeah? All right. So I'm going to check in with Sam really quickly. We're at 10:30. So the one thing I will say is if you are on a call and you can be on video, please be on video. I want her to feel welcomed and fully engaged. So she should be here in 1 minute. And then I am going to drop the screen and I'll give you all 1 minute and then she'll be on in 2 seconds. Give me 1 second.
Oh shit!
Oh.